Hello and welcome to the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lily Badcock and I am a transformational confidence coach and founder of the Confidence Academy Members Club, helping men and women just like you to build unshakable confidence and self-belief. Each week, I will be bringing you new episodes with advice and guidance to help you rebuild lost confidence, manage anxiety, and finally start living the life you were born to live. It is my aim to reach as many people as possible with the message that no matter what you're going through, no matter what your struggle may be, there is hope. And there is a way to create an amazing life for yourself. The incredible people I have been blessed to interview on the show are walking, talking examples of how this is possible. And I truly hope you will find their stories uplifting, inspiring, and motivational. The conversations are very open and candid and occasionally may include some adult language, so please take care when listening around little ones or grab some headphones. This podcast series is brought to you in association with Lily Badcock Confidence Coaching and the Confidence Academy Members Club. If you are ready to make the shift from anxious and frustrated to calm and confident, then visit www.lilybadcock.com today and get started with the free resources that are waiting there for you. I need you to know that you're not alone, that it can and will get easier, and that the transformation you seek is possible. You are more powerful than you know, and I'm here to teach you everything I know about harnessing that power and creating an amazing life on your terms. Before we dive in, don't forget to leave a review for us on iTunes and to check out the links in the podcast notes to the free resources we have available for you. But for now, let's get you on your way to living your epic life, free of anxiety and full of confidence. After all, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Confidence Academy podcast, and this is a live broadcast coming to you, and I am currently live on Facebook as well. So hello to everyone who's joining me, and hello to everyone listening on the podcast as well. And if you're catching this on the replay, hello to you too. So these are just very short episodes, or at least they're supposed to be short, that I'm bringing to you every Tuesday under the heading Let's Talk Tuesday. And more specifically, recently I've been doing these episodes under the heading of the Confident Mummy Diaries. So hi Caroline, thanks for joining. Hi Becky. So this is all just to do with the fact that, as you can see, I recently had a baby. This is Sophia, everybody. And I just thought it'd be really cool to document my journey so that anyone else kind of going through a similar thing can, apart from anything else, know that they're not on their own. And maybe we can get each other through this roller coaster ride that motherhood can bring. However, on the podcast, obviously it's Let's Talk Tuesday as well, so it's also a live Q&A. So with the topics that I'm talking about, if you have questions around that, or if you have anything you would specifically like me to talk about, post in a comment, let me know, and I will be happy to do it. So hello to everyone joining me. This is really, really exciting. I've just managed to get Sophia off to sleep, but she cries when I put it up on my shoulder. So hopefully she will be good as gold for the duration. But the thing I wanted to talk about today was the topic of resistance versus flow. And this just occurred to me today because, well, actually, let me just give you some backstory. So today has been a hellish day. Not awful, but not great. We in the UK here, the weather's been really bad and the kids have been on holiday, and so they're just a little bit bored of being cooped up in the house all of the time. And where normally I would go out and about, even if it's raining, obviously with a new baby, it's been a little bit more difficult. So today was just one of those days when my boys were bickering and arguing, and Becky says, did the questions include why I turned up to Eva on the wrong day? Yeah, no, Becky, I cannot help you with that. I have no idea why. Well, actually, yeah, I know why you did that, because you're you. This is what you do. But yeah, not to worry. Tomorrow is Evo Day, so you haven't got long to wait. So yeah, it occurred to me today because I did get to the point today where I was feeling like I was going to lose my shit a little bit. In fact, if you saw my post earlier where I told everyone that I was doing this, I'd say it was quite fueled in terms of the energy behind it was probably not the most positive, because, you know, the kids have been arguing. Sophia's had this gripey tummy, so she's just crying all the time, and it got to the point where it felt really, really difficult. And then I started thinking, how am I going to do a podcast episode today? There's so much going on. It's so crazy. And I even started to talk myself out of doing it. And then I remembered that I had committed to doing these on a weekly basis, especially the Confident Mummy Diaries, because the whole point is that it isn't always pretty and it isn't always easy. And I did promise that I was going to share everything with you, warts and all. And I think a couple of weeks ago when I did one of these on my video, I had managed to not only wash my hair, but brush and straighten it as well. And there was makeup and clean clothes. And today, if you're on the video, you can see none of those things have happened. But you know what? I'm cool with it. It's fine. It did get me thinking, though, about this topic of resistance versus flow. And I think that, you know, life in general can be difficult at times. And sometimes it can be really difficult. And I think that the thing I've learned over the years is to not get too emotional about the fact that it doesn't always go smoothly. And I think a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress often comes from this belief that everything has to be okay all of the time, and that everything has to run smoothly. And it's almost like we all go through life kind of just hoping and praying that nothing goes wrong, and then when it goes wrong, we all throw our toys out the pram and go, oh crap, it's all gone wrong, and you know, I'm having a meltdown over here, and why isn't everything perfect, and why isn't everything going my way? And it seems to me that occurs most when we are resistant to the fact that challenges are going to come up. You know, blocks are going to come up. There are going to be times where, you know, it isn't always plain sailing and it is a bit of a struggle. And it seems to me that the more we resist that, the harder it is to get through, and we almost prolong the whole experience of that struggle by hoping and praying that it wasn't there. So that was sort of the topic that I came up with in my head earlier when I thought, you know, I'm going to do my podcast because I said I would, and what do I want to talk about? What have I learned this week? This week's been really, really tricky. It's Sophia hasn't always been sleeping through, whereas before she hasn't been sleeping through, but she had been sleeping in good kind of chunks of time. But I had a couple of nights this week where she really just wasn't up for doing that, and I fear tonight may be another one like that, actually. You know, that's fine. And I think I realised earlier this week, in fact, I said to somebody that I was really enjoying being a mum this time round. This is my third child, for those who don't know. And I'm enjoying it a lot more this time, even after a day like today, because I'm not so resistant to the fact that it doesn't always go smoothly. I think when I had my first baby, I'm such a perfectionist in so many ways, or at least I like to do well at things. And I was just so mortified whenever, you know, even if the baby cried, I thought that meant I was doing something wrong, and I thought it was something I had to fix. And you know, I was constantly beating myself up, going, oh, you know, I haven't done that right, and I haven't done this right. And the whole experience, it was beautiful and it was wonderful, which is why I've done it, you know, 2 more times after that time. But there was a hell of a lot of resistance around that as well. And a hell of a lot of times of me feeling like I wasn't doing a good job. Hi, Lee. Thanks for joining, my love. How's your sprained ankle, by the way? I think I saw that is it your ankle you've sprained? And I saw Joe's on here as well, Joe Underwood, and you've broken your ankle. So I see your sprain and I raise you a broken one. So I hope you girls are healing well anyway, and anyone else who has ailments, I hope that you're healing well. So yeah, and it just occurred to me that I'm enjoying it a lot more this time, because although it is difficult when you're not getting sleep, and it is frustrating when the kids are bickering and the baby wants to be fed at the same time and they're trying to play games with you and everybody wants your attention. It's not that stops being difficult, but it's almost like I've got this hindsight now where I'm just enjoying every moment of it, because I look at Louis, who's now 6, and I can't believe that he's 6 years old. I don't know where 6 years went, and I just feel like a hell of a lot of that time consisted of me being in resistance to what was happening. And rather than just going with the flow and just accepting that sometimes it's messy and, you know, and it's not always you don't always get it right and you don't always have the answers. Instead of that, I was constantly, beating myself up and trying to get to this level of perfection that just did not exist and was never going to exist. And I felt grateful this week when I realized that I've been able to enjoy this a lot more. And I said to someone, it's a shame, because it's a shame I wasn't able to do that from the beginning. And it's not that I have regrets about that. It's just an observation that I made. If I knew then what I know now about so much to do with, raising a child and being a mum, then I really wouldn't have sweated so much of it. I really wouldn't have given myself such a hard time. And who knows, perhaps my anxiety wouldn't have escalated the way that it escalated. The anxiety for me came about when, after I had my second child, but Freddie came along 13 months after Louis. So literally, I had a baby. I went back to work after 2 weeks of having Louis. So I had a baby, went back to work. Then I had another baby and went straight back to work. And I didn't really give myself the props or the credit that, I just needed some time. I didn't, I think I felt like, I was this kind of superwoman, and that it was really great if I could just do all of these things, and I was going to be the one person that did all of those things and didn't fall apart. And what I know now is you don't get a medal for that. You deserve a medal anyway. Being a mum is the most amazing, rewarding job, and we all deserve medals regardless. And so, there really was no need for me to put myself through the ringer quite so much. Lee says, transcending the worry, knowing that it all gets to be perfect. Absolutely. And this is what I didn't know. And I was really interested when I found out I was pregnant with Sophia, I was very interested to see how I was with the pregnancy, how I was with the birth, and how I was afterwards, given that now I've immersed myself in self-development for years since the other two were born. Because when they were born, I didn't know so much about this stuff. And, I was just on a live call with my Confidence Academy members, and I said the same thing in there. It was just, I hadn't really had a good opportunity to really test it. There's all this stuff I've learned, and I talk a lot about the power of the mind, and I was really interested to see whether it was actually going to work when it came to having a baby and then taking care of a baby. But I have to say, so far, so good. When I was having Sophia, I went in. So again, it was this flow versus resistance. I just decided that the birth was going to be calm, and that it was going to be very zen and very chilled, and that, even if I was in a lot of pain, I wasn't going to panic, because I knew that the pain meant the baby was coming, and the baby coming was what I wanted. So I kind of went in with that mindset, and I kept verbalizing that as well. I kept saying it to the midwives. Well, God knows what they thought of me, but, and who cares actually, but, I kept saying, they were like, oh, are you okay? And blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, because I know even when it hurts, I know that it's a good thing and it's exciting. And I just kept focusing on that feeling I remembered of what it feels like to have your baby when you meet them for the first time, and how amazingly incredible that is. Did I stay completely zen throughout the whole process? No, because it freaking hurts. But what I didn't do was panic much. When I had Fred, he came in the middle of the night with no warning and shot out like a bullet out of a gun. And so I was just thrown into panic from the word go. And I never really got on top of that feeling, that overwhelming, it's not even pain, it's just complete intensity. And I don't feel like I really got on top of it. It was just panic from start to finish, and then a baby popped out, and it was like, oh, thank crap. And actually, I do remember dropping multiple F-bombs throughout that process. Whereas with Sophia, yes, it was intense. Yes, it was painful. But I feel like I did keep my cool. I didn't lose my shit quite so much. I did get slightly rattled when I realised that pain relief wasn't an option. So actually, I'd gone in saying I didn't want pain relief, but it got to a point where I was like, oh God, do you know what? Why am I trying to do this without pain relief? That's ridiculous. I want the pain relief. And then it became apparent that she was already on her way and it was too late. And for a split second, I thought, oh no, that's awful. And then immediately I was like, okay, then this is what we're dealing with. there's no pain relief, we're going to do it. I know I can do it. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be painful, but I'm not afraid and I can do it. And that's the shift. That was the change. It's not that I discovered a way to birth a child pain-free. Certainly not. But actually, the worrying thing is, after I had Freddie, I decided I never wanted any more because it was so traumatic for me and painful and all the rest of it. Whereas this time, even though it was hard work, I really, truly loved it. I just loved it. I loved that feeling. And I really was aware that I was doing this and that my body was supporting me and was backing me up. And I felt like an absolute warrior. And by the time she was born, I literally felt like the biggest hero in the world. And I wrote a blog about it, which stupidly I haven't shared yet. So I will get on and share that on my website. But I think it opened with the line, like, tonight you were a warrior, because I was like, do you know what? I knew I could do it. I stayed focused on that outcome, and then I bloody did it. And not just me, but the amazing staff and my amazing husband. Kevin was incredible. But he did say at one point, I feel a little bit redundant, because with the other two, especially with Louis being my first, I was just panicked from start to finish. So I constantly wanted to hold his hand, and I remember he was trying to go to sleep because, I know, rude, right? But I'd been induced with Louis and he was taking days to come. And at one point, Kev was trying to shut his eyes, and I remember saying to him, no, you need to be awake, because if I'm awake, you're awake. And, I was really needed him around. Whereas this time, I knew I had my breathing. I knew if I kept my mind focused, I could do it. And right at the end, I think I grabbed his hand. But apart from that, I kind of had it in the bag, and I felt really powerful in doing that. And the whole point of that story is I gave into that resistance. I just decided that I wasn't going to resist what was inevitable. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be tough. But I also knew for a fact I was going to get through it. And I think that's a massive metaphor for life as well. Like, we all go through these times. We all go through these challenges. And quite often it's made worse when we forget how powerful we are. And when we forget what we're capable of. And when we start to lose hope and we start to lose faith and we start to think that it's never going to get better, and we start to think that maybe I can't do this. Whereas if you just remember how freaking awesomely powerful you really are, and the fact that, up to this point, there's nothing you haven't overcome already, then you just remind yourself of your power. You remind yourself that, yes, it might be tough. Yes, it might be tiring. Yes, it might push you to the very brink of what you feel capable of getting through, but you will come through. You absolutely will, because that's why we're here, and this is how we grow, this is how we expand, and that is the whole point, I believe. And so, oh, Angie, hello, oh my god, mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my goodness, it's so nice to have you on here. I'm so excited. I haven't seen Angie in badonkey's years. It's wonderful that you're here. I'm sending you mwah, loads of love. So yeah, that was basically what I wanted to talk about, because it seemed relevant for childbirth, but it also seems very relevant for what comes now. So yes, the challenges of being a mother. Yes, the challenges of being a wife, and the challenges of being at home all the time, and currently the challenge of having children off school when it's raining. It's still raining now, when you can't take them out. And you can get to this point of feeling completely hopeless, like you can't get through. But remember that you can, and remember that no matter how hard it gets, you will come through, you will figure it out, and you're going to be stronger as a result of that as well. You are absolutely going to grow, because that is why we're here, and that is how it all works. And that was the message that I wanted to bring everyone today on the podcast. So thank you so much everyone for joining me. Does anyone have any questions before I sign off? Oh, Tina! Oh my goodness, it's Tina and Angie! You guys! Hi! Mwah, 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 mwah. And thank you ever so much. Yes, this is Sophia. This is Sophia, everybody. She's a bit grumpy. She's got a bad tum-tum, haven't you, buddy? She's like, shut up, Mum, I'm trying to sleep. Yeah, so if anyone has questions, then obviously you can pop them in the comments box. But if not, I will see you again for another episode. I'm going to be back on Friday with another guest expert. If anybody listening to this or watching this would like to share their story on my podcast, then I want to hear from you. I've just opened up my diary for some new experts. So if you have an inspirational story about overcoming anxiety or thriving in spite of anxiety or building unshakable confidence or anything along those lines, then I would love to hear from you. So get in touch, pop me a message via Facebook or email me, lilybabcock@gmail.com, and I would love to hear from you. Just before I go, just a reminder that the doors to the Confidence Academy Members Club are now open. So if you would like ongoing support, coaching and accountability from me and the rest of the guys that are already in there, then click the link in the show notes to the Confidence Academy Members Club and I will see you in there. The doors are open until the end of April, so I would love to have you. And that just about wraps it up for today. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back again on Friday, like I said, and back again next Tuesday with another episode of Let's Talk Tuesday and the Confident Mummy Diaries. I'm sending you all loads and loads of love, and remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye.